Hello, everyone. I'm Paolo Sironi, your host for the Banker's Bookshelf. Welcome again for this episode where I have invited Ingird Vasiliu-Feltes, the author of The Art of Quantum, for this conversation about quantum technology across industries, of which, of course, the impact on financial services. The book is about to be released, so you're going to receive a wonderful preview, and I will invite you at the very end to go and check it on Amazon for pre-booking. Ingrid, welcome to the Banker's Bookshelf.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Ingrid, the Banker's Bookshelf is an opportunity to talk to authors of very interesting books about the present of financial services and the future of the industry. And what I like of your activity is that you really think about what is going to happen. We see the signs of it. Quantum technology is there, but is not yet complete. But I guess at the moment it will be deployed, it will go at scale. We already saw what happened with large language models. So they started scaling up very, very fast and took everybody by surprise. And so the point here, quantum may do the same. Now, you have a wonderful perspective that is not just financial services, and I guess that is what makes this conversation interesting and enlightening. So let's start telling our audience why they should read The Art of Quantum.
Well, the title already signals that I wanted to alert our audience that we need to prepare as a society and as an economy that this will be a war. The war has changed from the physical battlefield, though, to the digital environment and the digital ecosystem. So even the cover of the book signals clearly that we need to be prepared. And I wanted to also then alert the readers that it will transcend all industries and it has to be a deep strategic preparation at a global level if we want to manage the quantum era, compared to all other technologies that maybe allowed us to just decide if we want to deploy them or not and decide which use case. This one, as you see in the book, tries to constantly remind ourselves that quantum will be cross-industry, it will transcend all domains, and we need to be quantum resilient in any industry, not just the typical ones that are the leaders in deploying frontier technologies.
So Ingrid, I love the title because it talks about the art of quantum. That's a parallel to the art of war. And as you say, it's a strategic perspective. Why do I like it in particular? Because I see often organizations getting into new technologies, starting from very narrow use cases, just looking at technology. They don't ask themselves which are the changes the new technology generates, and therefore how strategically we position in order to protect ourselves, can be a defensive aspect, or engage in a more offensive capability in order to grab more market share, win competition. So now, when you say the strategic perspective, what do you really think about that board of any company, also banks and fintech, must consider?
Definitely for the financial industry, the time is more accelerated. Other industries perhaps have a little bit longer range to get ready and engage in their strategy and their quantum readiness and quantum resilience. But for the financial industry, they must be ready earlier.
Why do you think so?
Well, as we know, financial industry is at the core of many other industries. And just to give you an example, for instance, all the stock market exchanges do not have any quantum strategy now. They haven't even started. All the major financial institutions, such as the International Monetary Fund or World Bank, they're engaged, but they haven't published their strategy yet. And we have the strong, of course, BIS efforts now that just started and they just published a framework, but the clock is ticking. And we know that, of course, investments worldwide, global GDP, cross-border payments, money laundering, all the financial ecosystem domains can be annihilated, not just affected by quantum.
Well, you say something very true. You see, in banking, there has been a never-ending discussion about open banking, open finance. Should banks open up or close? But de facto, banking is already open because a lot of data is in the public domain, being exchange-related prices. And one of the things that we always do is to go to the app to do payments. And we do payments every single day, multiple times a day, or we check our account or we send the money. And clearly, the impact of quantum in terms of its disruptive capability on financial services would be magnified by the fact that it touches every aspect of people and business life. So being quantum resilient, starting from that, is absolutely mandatory. But I guess it's also how do you deploy quantum technology then in order to succeed differently in the market?
Well, you said the magic word. This is the main aspect I want to convey to the audience and to the boards that I usually work with. You don't have to decide to deploy quantum technology. You need to be quantum ready to not be breached, which is a very big difference. You do not, as a board, need to make decisions if you want to be a quantum leader and find a use case. No, you just need to migrate all your cybersecurity defenses to be quantum resilient. Hence, also the book. We need to prepare for war. Even if you don't want to deploy quantum, you need to be ready.
Absolutely. I see some hesitance in financial institutions, and I meet many around the world in my IBM capability. And the reason is because quantum readiness sometimes is a problem that it will be there, but not today. So for many, it's considered like beyond the span of an individual CEO responsibility. So why do I have to invest now to protect for something that occurs after I might be leaving the job? And that is not correct. At the same time, we're seeing the emergence of tokenization, which is actually accelerating very fast. So what I tell clients is also, well, maybe you don't want to quantum safe your present, but as you're investing to tokenize for your future, make sure that all of your future architectures are quantum ready since the very start. Because since one day, all the flows will move right into new architecture. Although I do believe that this same discipline should be applied for day to day. So now, what does it mean to be quantum ready from a strategic perspective, thinking risk management and thinking auditing, thinking the way boards think?
And thank you for that, because that's the main area of focus now. So in a board discussion, what all board members need to now engage to decide, do they want to be only quantum ready or already start their quantum resilience strategy? Because some always say we just want to do minimum necessary. We just want to be ready and then hit the accelerator if it's really needed for the resilience aspect. And I think that's a big mistake. So if they are really interested in a long-term strategy, they should engage from the beginning in quantum resilience. Why do I say that? Is because we know that malicious actors are always ahead. So if boards right now just say, well, let's just be ready and let's just follow the minimum guidelines for migration to be, according to, let's say, NIST, ready by 2030, that will be too late. And as we just highlighted and you just mentioned, the risks are tremendous. And there are many risks that a lot of boards cannot foresee it. That's the whole point about quantum, right? It's not like other technologies where you decide exactly what you want to deploy and can gauge your risks and then can develop risk mitigation strategies.
So if you understand well, being ready means having the capability to act, but being resilient means already acting on those capabilities, right? Not just preparing the domain.
Absolutely. And then maybe adding two more elements for the resilience is being adaptive to novel threats. That's what resilience would mean. That we don't just want to do the minimum requirements that all the standards are requiring you to do now and to migrate your cybersecurity defenses to be ready for quantum attacks. It means that you have the in-house capacity to continuously adapt, to monitor, to do the performance improvement, to do the quality assurance, to do the risk mitigation in an automatic way, which means that you need to train your quality assurance staff to not just your cybersecurity department. You need to train your auditors to be ready for the quantum era. That doesn't happen overnight. And that's the part that a lot of boards have a little tougher time understanding, that the magnitude of the impact for quantum resilience is a little different than with other technologies. And then you mentioned also AI. This is another confounding factor where the quantum AI convergence that we're seeing now, it just happened, right? That we're going to see quantum peak with multi-agentic AI ecosystem speaking. And that, of course, amplifies the risk. And I think that's the other key point that I wanted to bring out in the book, And the one other one that I wanted to always share, and I emphasize it to all the boards, is that we're also witnessing blockchain maturing. So a lot of banks have migrated towards blockchain and Web3 enablement. So we're going to very likely see by 2030 quantum being ready for attack, so to speak, but also being this unique trifecta, the way I like to say, between Web3 enablement, multi-agentic AI ecosystems, and then on top of that, the quantum resilience. So blockchain, quantum, multi-agentic AI poses tremendous risks for boards. And this is why we're recommending quantum resilience to also take into consideration those aspects when you develop your risk mitigation strategy.
I think you have your right here. I always say that at the crossroads of different things, there's a lot of value, but also a lot of threats. Recently, I've been investigating about the intersection between agentic AI and the tokenization. One needs the other to increase the return on investment. And quantum is effectively the third leg that is starting to kick in. Now, you travel a lot, Ingrid. I see you popping up here and there in the world. So you have tons of conversations with the industry leaders or executives. Is there any difference in the way people think of quantum around the globe?
Yes, and I hope more governments and more tech leaders would copy those that that are actually aiming to be the leaders. I do see a difference. There are governments and technology companies that clearly ask me, how can we be the leader and ready for the next decade or the next few decades? They don't just ask me, what's the minimum requirement to do to not be in trouble in 2030? And I do also see a very big difference in trying to carefully orchestrate their digital strategic roadmap in how they invest, in how they train their boards and their employees, and how they develop this 10 to 20 years strategic plan to encompass all the technologies we see, because we just mentioned three of them now, but we also have satellite internet. We have 6G. Majority of the telecommunication companies are already publishing their 6G roadmaps. Mm-hmm. So now add that into the mix and the quantum impact on telecommunications.
But you think that if you think about digital, APAC was front running the Western world with digital apps, the money movement. With artificial intelligence adoption, I think that in APAC, there's still in the industry greater speed compared to what happens in the rest of the world. Would quantum be the same?
It's possible, although I think now with the latest changes in Europe, I'm more confident, like this latest Project Leap, at least is the right signal. And I think it is alerting everyone that there needs to be a little bit more and that we need to accelerate the timeline. I also very much enjoyed what France did. That's a decisive step to require all tech companies to be quantum resilient, otherwise you can't function. I think that's the kind of very significant approach and step that can trigger a cascade of good efforts. Just talking and just publishing frameworks, I don't think is enough, and just investments, I don't think are enough either.
So Ingrid, the art of quantum, the strategy of war, everything requires an organization. So clearly it starts from board awareness and capability to act, because the board has to ask for action, be capable of checking those actions. So below the board, is quantum a topic for cybersecurity officers? Is it something for the chief risk officer? Is it something for the head of business? Of course, it's for everybody, but how do you see the organization capability to respond to this by identifying the key execs that are tasked with promoting the agenda?
I like to joke that we'll need a chief orchestrator officer. That's the only way that quantum resilience can happen. It cannot fall on only one officer, because the key that we're trying to convey is that it will impact all. If you just give it to cybersecurity, you're going to fail in the ethics realm. You're going to fail in your financial preparation. It's not so simple. I really believe this one is the archetype for how we need to harmonize all efforts in the C-suite and how we need to carefully orchestrate every single facet. And I have to emphasize again, auditing. It's key.
Yes. So I guess what you're saying is that quantum will impact all industries, if you like, at once. In financial services, which is the first to be exposed given its relevance, will impact all businesses, all segments, all functions at once. So while cloud started in some banks in retail banking, but not in corporate, while AI was deployed in investment manager, but not retail, quantum will, if you like, impact all of them at the same time. So the chief orchestration officer idea is a relevant idea as it captures the message. So Ingrid, the book will be available in a month, beginning of September. So I understand that the audience of the Banker's Bookshelf can already go on Amazon and book the title on the Kindle edition. Is that correct?
Yes. I'm looking forward to that.
So I'm also very excited just so a sneak preview about that. And I'm going to book my copy. So I invite everybody to do. The Art of Quantum in the Digital Era is an interesting book that discusses the relevance of quantum technology in its impact at once across industries, across the entire organization. I used to say that as much as every banker is a risk manager, now every banker must be an AI risk manager. Well, I think I was imprecise. Every banker must also be a quantum risk manager. Ingrid, thanks for the participation to the Banker's Bookshelf.
Thank you for inviting me.
I thank everybody for attending this episode. I remind you that we are available on all your preferred streaming platforms, being Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Podcasts or videos, as well as Amazon Music. Thanks for your time. Enjoy the jingle.